Ain't nobody messing with my queens, listen up. You ain't gotta love me, cause I love me. Put a hand up if you in the trenches building confidence, and put a hand up if you need some mending for your heart that's healing. Salute, say you in attendance, this army's relentless. A weekly dose of motivation, give me your attention. This is for all the queens going heal by any means. They chasing our self-esteem, it's not as hard as it seems. Go, go, go queen, go. Ain't nobody messing with my queens, listen up.
Welcome to the All Queens Army podcast. It's your girl, your host, Coach Breezy. I am here today with another dope episode for the queens. Yes, honey, it's a beautiful motivational Monday today, and I am so excited to be in you queens' ears because you are in my heart. Yes, you are. You know you are. I love you queens, and y'all know it. Today's topic is going to be a little bit of a serious topic because the most popular questions that I get from the queens in the queendom are about love and about boundaries. So I want to talk about love today. We talk about boundaries and we talk about enforcing them. There's even the new ebook on the All Queens Army website that talks about boundaries. So for this week, I wanted to put the focus on love. Today, we're going to talk about what love is not. And we're even going to get into a little bit of what love is, but definitely focusing on what love is not. All right. Okay. So next thing, queens, don't forget that there's a free ebook out on the website called How to Create Boundaries and Stand Up for Yourself. That ebook is out there. It's free for you to download if you want to check that out or need some help with creating boundaries. It does give you step-by-step instructions on how to create boundaries and then more importantly, how to enforce them. Okay. So check that out. And then last but not least, queens, yes, please make sure you have subscribed to the All Queens Army podcast. There is a new subscribe page on the website, so you can check that out. It's a lot easier to subscribe to your preferred podcast platform. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Amazon's Audible app, Google Podcasts, and Facebook. Okay, queens, let's get into it. So we're going to be talking about what love is not. How y'all feel about that? Y'all feel like y'all about to get bopped upside the head? Y'all might. I can't promise you that I'm not going to bop y'all upside the head today. I can't promise you that. But what I can promise you is 100% transparency, because today I'm going to be talking about myself and my life a little bit, using myself as an example. Now, some of y'all may wonder why I always talk about myself and use myself as an example. And here's why. Today's society is so super duper sensitive about everything. And I will be the first to tell y'all that I don't know all of the rules about all of the different topics and the different cultures and the different lifestyles and all of those things. I just don't know all of them well enough to not offend anybody or not say the wrong thing, talking about other people's situations or talking about other people's circumstances. If you guys remember back to season 1 and maybe even a little bit of season 2, I used to tell stories about other people that I had talked to, of course, leaving those people 100% anonymous. But I've learned as our society continues to evolve that certain things are offensive to certain people and certain cultures and things like that. And while I'm in my learning phase of understanding more about different cultures and what's offensive and different lifestyles and what's offensive and how to ensure that I'm inclusive of everyone so that no one feels left out or no one feels attacked, I'm going to steer clear of talking about anyone else or anyone else's stories until I feel comfortable that I've learned enough to go back into that kind of storytelling. Until I feel comfortable that I've learned everything I need to learn, I'm just going to talk about me, okay? Because I feel like talking about myself and talking about me is a safe space. And All Queens Army is all about a safe space. All of us queens here should feel safe. It doesn't matter what you're going through. It doesn't matter what your issue is. It doesn't matter what your flaw is. It doesn't matter what you need to learn. We do not attack each other here because in this queendom, we know that everyone's heart is pure and everyone means well from the bottom of their heart. That's the energy that I give off. So with that being said, let's jump into what love is not. Now, let me tell y'all something. In regards to love, I am a completely different person than who I was 7 years ago. It's 2021. And in 2014, I was different in regards to love. I had a different understanding of love then than what I do now. In 2014, I was 34. In 2021, I'm 41. So my experiences in life and my evolution of who I have become has changed my perspective on love tremendously. It has also changed how I give love love, and more importantly, completely changed my expectation of what love looks like and feels like. So hear me out, y'all. Like I said, I will be the first to admit that my idea and perception of what love is and how it's supposed to feel and what it's supposed to look like was totally different back then than what I'm about to say to y'all right now, okay? So anybody who has known me from back then to now, if y'all say things like, oh, well, that's not who you was. Oh, well, that's not what you did. You're right. You're 100% right. Again, that is a fact, okay? This is an area of my life where I can truly say I changed substantially. And let me tell you why. Because the way I grew up, love was demonstrated by acts of service. Have any of y'all read the 5 Love Languages book or even heard of the different love languages? If not, I definitely recommend reading the book. I had actually read the book years before my big transformation, but now I can identify that the way that I was brought up and the way that I received love from my family, like from my parents, from my siblings, from my aunts and uncles and stuff like that, was through demonstrations of acts of service. Another thing that my family did that was a display of love was loyalty and dependability. So those 3 things were like the leading characteristics of what love looked like and felt like when I was growing up. It was demonstrations of acts of service, it was loyalty, and it was dependability. Now, I'm not saying that those things are not what love is. I haven't gotten to the part of what love is not yet. So don't y'all start jumping ahead, okay? I'm not saying that those things are what love is not. I'm just identifying that those were the ways that I received love as a child. So with that in mind, as I grew up and I started dating, and of course, you have your relationships with your friends, you have to feel like your friends love you. You have to feel like people love you outside of just a romantic relationship. So as I grew up, keeping in mind that my perception of love was demonstrations of acts of service and loyalty and dependability, those were the 3 things that my perception of love were getting filtered through. That was how all of my experiences of love were supposed to go and feel. And if those things were void, like meaning I perceived that you weren't dependable, or I perceived that you weren't loyal, or you didn't do any acts of service for me, then for me, because remember, that's my filter of love. That's the way I perceive love. So if I didn't perceive that those 3 things were happening, if I felt like that the person I was dealing with was void of those 3 things, then I didn't feel or experience love. That's what happens when we're kids. We learn things based on the environment that we grew up in. And then that becomes how we experience those particular situations in life. So in regards to love, that was my experience with love. And so when I went out into the world as a young adult and started dating and, I started having relationships with people outside of just my family, those were my expectations of what love was supposed to look like and feel like. So if I didn't perceive that those things were happening, I did not feel that the person loved me. And naturally, if I didn't feel like the person loved me because my perception was that they were not giving me acts of service and they were not displaying loyalty and they were not displaying dependability, that caused me to take my love away. For me to say, well, you're not loving me, so I'm not going to love you. Now, the reason that caused a little bit of a problem is because that's how I started putting rules around love. If I don't feel this, then that. If you don't do this, then that. Or if you do this, then that. Now, let me put words in there so that doesn't get confusing. If I don't feel that you're dependable, then you don't love me, and in return, I don't love you. If I don't feel like you're loyal to me, then that means you don't love me, and in return, I don't love you. If you don't make me feel like I can depend on you, then that means you don't love me, and so then I won't love you. That's what I mean about if this, then that. Those are rules that we put on love. Now, I'm sure that most of us do that. I know it ain't just me, child. Now, I will own. If it's just me, okay, that's fine. Maybe I'm just the one lonely bird out there who couldn't figure this out and who couldn't unlearn some of the things that I was taught when I was little. Now, it's not to say that my parents or my family did anything wrong. They absolutely didn't do anything wrong. I felt 100% loved. I wouldn't change a thing. I think what happens is because that's how we were loved as children, we expect to receive love in that same way for people outside of just your family. You start going through life and that's your expectation of love because it's all you know. It's what you were taught. But the problem with that is we have to understand that not everyone grew up the same way. Some people's households, acts of service was not an expression of love. Maybe it was words of affirmation. So if you go out into the world and you have an expectation of acts of service and you meet up with someone and you feel like y'all click and you like this person and you want to get to know them and it's like, okay, maybe this will work, but they don't understand understand your need for acts of service. They understand words of affirmation. What'll happen is, or what I did was, look at that situation and say, oh, well, because you ain't doing the acts of service, child, you must not love me. And then in return, now I'm not open to loving you. And again, the problem with that is that I was putting rules on love. I'll love you if this. I'll give you my heart if that. That's how I started to behave. Now, I don't know if all of you guys do this. Like I said, this is a personal story. This is about myself. I suspect that most people do it, but I ain't going to say it because y'all going to be like, oh no, it ain't me. I don't do all that. That's what y'all going to say because y'all always say that first. And then eventually y'all come back and be like, oh yeah, Coach Breezy, I think you had a point. It's sunk in. Now I get it, right? But when I first say it, y'all be all in denial. Like, no, I don't do all that. And I'm just saying that I'm willing to own it, okay? I learned that about myself by doing some self-reflection. Now, here's the next point that I want to drive home. Now that hopefully I helped you understand how I got to a point where I was putting rules, and I'm using rules in finger quotes, I was putting rules around love. Now, some of you may not agree with it, and you may say, oh, well, but you ain't supposed to just love somebody who just doing this or doing that or not worthy of it. I'm going to get into that in just a second, so hold tight on that thought. But hopefully now you understand why I call it rules, why I say it's a rule that we wind up putting on love, because if we aren't feeling or getting or seeing love the way that we perceive it because of how we were taught to receive love, if we don't see it in that way, we wind up putting a rule on it. And I'm saying we, because I know some of y'all do it, but we put the rule on love and we make love conditional. When you perceive love by rules, you're putting conditions on love. That's what the if this, then that means. If you do this, then you're worthy of my love and I'll give it back to you. If you don't do that, then you're not worthy of my love and I'm not going to give it to you. So today, that's what this conversation is about. This conversation is about love does not mean if this, then that. True, genuine, heartfelt love is not conditional. If you're giving true, genuine, unadulterated, heartfelt, vulnerable love with your whole heart, it is not conditional. You don't take it away if that or because of this. That's like an Indian giver. You know what I mean? Remember when we were kids and people were like, wow, you gave something and then you took it back. It's an Indian giver. Well, that's what it is. It's saying that the only way that you're willing to love is if this person does X, Y, or Z, or meets a certain standard, or meets a certain expectation, or does a certain thing for you, or makes you feel a certain way. Now, again, I know some of y'all just can't wait to hit the buzzer, child. No. You can't just let people treat you any kind of way. Of course, you have to shut it down if somebody's not doing X, Y, Z. Okay, let me go ahead and address that because I know y'all itching and scratching, child. Let's not mistake unconditional love with not having boundaries. Those are two totally different things. You can love someone genuinely, unconditionally, and still have boundaries and still draw a line in the sand and say, this I will not tolerate. You can love someone unconditionally and decide that you are not going to engage with them every day. You can love your mama unconditionally, but if she is mentally and emotionally abusive, you might decide that you got to cut her off. You can't talk to her every day. You can't be in her presence all the time, but it doesn't mean that you stop loving. See, that's the difference. See, a lot of people think that if a person doesn't do a certain thing or treat you a certain way, or even if they do something that's harmful, that means that you take your love away. Let me tell y'all something. That is not love. If you need to turn your love off because of this, that, or the fourth, then you never loved the person to begin with. And that's the bottom line. If you have conditions or rules, like a little checklist, this person need to do this, not do that, do this, don't do that, make sure they do this, make sure this happen, make sure that happen, prevent this, do that. If that is your expectation of giving and receiving love, it ain't love. Y'all might be mad at me with this one, but I gotta be honest, okay? The bottom line is unconditional love is to love someone or something no matter what life throws at you. You still love them anyway. That does not mean that you stay in a relationship with that person. It doesn't mean that you don't have any boundaries. It doesn't mean that you tolerate fuck shit. It doesn't mean that you let people run all over top of you. It doesn't mean that you have to lower your standards and let people treat you any kind of way. It doesn't mean that you have to continue to engage with a person who shows you that they're not willing to love you properly in return. It doesn't mean that you become a slave to just loving someone no matter what they do to you. See, you got to disconnect tolerating and allowing people to do things with love. If you love somebody, you love them with their flaws. You love them with their shortcomings. You love them no matter who they are. You just love them. I love you, period. But if you need to love them from a distance, you still love them. So I just want to be clear on that. Now, let me go even deeper because y'all might be getting mad at me right now, right? Because I'm telling y'all that love does not mean if this, then that, okay? And true, genuine, heartfelt love is not conditional. So let's just say that you have a desire to be loved genuinely, 100%, and treated like a queen, which is absolutely 1000% what you deserve. Let's say that that's something that you want. Unconditional love is continuing to love a person despite what they do, despite who they are, despite how they act, and never taking your love away. You may take yourself away from that person, but you don't take your love away. You always have a loving spirit towards that person, but you create boundaries if you need to. And you tell a person that they aren't the one for you or that they don't have a space in your life if they are taking advantage of you. But it doesn't mean that you take your love away. When you love unconditionally, you free yourself from rules. You open yourself up wholly. You give of your love vulnerably. And that is how God loves us. Period. See, the way God loves us is unconditional. It's pure. It's real. It's no holds barred. There are no rules. It isn't about if this, then that. Because if that were the case, he wouldn't love your ass. Because you flawed. You do stuff that he told you not to do. Bottom line. But he doesn't love you any differently. And he doesn't love you any less. You're still loved. You're still forgiven. You can fuck up 745,000 times and he's still going to be sitting there with open arms saying, I love you. It's okay. Let's move forward. That's true. Unconditional, divine, godly love. That's different level shit. I don't know if all y'all ready for that. Again, I have to reiterate this 1,000 times. I know how some of y'all is, and I know some of y'all going to take this the wrong way. Unconditional love does not mean allowing people to do what they want. It means you identify whether or not someone has a place in your life. If they don't, if you deem that they do not, you do not stop loving them. If you ever stop loving someone, you never loved them to begin with. Unconditional love frees you. It frees you from rules. It frees you from having to become something that you're not. It frees you from trying to figure out what you should do. It frees up all of the confusion. It frees up, hey, should I stay? Should I go? How do I know if he's somebody I could work with? You don't have to worry about any of that. Just love. And if that person is not for you or that situation or circumstance is not for you, you'll know because you're giving with 100% of yourself. And you'll know that if you're not receiving 100% back in return, you'll know it's not for you. You'll feel it. It's natural. The vibration will be off. The energy will be off. You'll know because you know that you're giving 100% of yourself. See, what happens is when you only give pieces of yourself, when you start making rules like if this, then that, if they treat me like this, then I'll give him this back in return, or I'll open up to him when he show me that he opening up to me, or I'll let them know that I'm ready to commit when they let me know that they ready to commit. It's too many rules. And that's why the shit gets confusing. That's why you get in situations where you confuse and you don't know what to do. You don't know if you're seeing signs that you should cut the person off. You don't know if you're seeing signs that this is the end. You don't know if you're seeing characteristics that they can change. You don't know if you're seeing characteristics that y'all can work through a problem. You get confused because you're the one setting a rule. Just give 100% of yourself. And if you don't get 100% back, you know. And that's all you need to know. And then once you know, you don't stop the love. You just disengage. You don't stop the love. You just remove yourself from that person's life. You just remove yourself from the situation. You just love from afar. You just wish the person well. You just say, you know what? I hope you find someone that loves the way you love them because it's not enough for me. I'm giving 100%. See, it's nothing to figure out when you love 100% genuinely, wholly, from your soul. No holds barred, completely vulnerable. When you give your whole self, like I said, that's how God loves you. What if God loved you with conditions? What if he said, I'll only love you if this? I'll only give you that if that. If you piss me off or sin one more time, I'm done. I'm taking away my love and I'm done with you. I'm shutting you out. I'm not giving you no more love. I'm cutting off my love energy. Queens, you never want to cut off your love energy. Even if someone doesn't deserve it, don't cut your love energy off. If you cut your love energy off, you will not be able to manifest love back from the universe because you shut it off. Remember, you're only going to attract what you are. If what you are or what you have become is shut off from love, or what you are or what you have become is conditional love, saying, I'll love you if this, I'll give my heart if that. If that is what you have become or what you are, then that's what you're going to attract back from the universe. You're going to attract people who say the same damn thing to you. I'll love you if, I'll give you my love if that. You're always having to try to prove yourself. You got to pass 100 goddamn tests like a circus animal. You got to jump through hoops and walk over a wire and jump through a damn fire just to get someone's love. No, love is supposed to be freely given. Just because you freely give love does not mean that you automatically just open yourself up to get taken advantage of, because self-love is supposed to come first. All right. So I hope that that made sense for you guys. It wasn't super easy for me to articulate because it's like I be knowing what my own experiences are and what some of the things that I went through are and how it changed and shaped and evolved my life and my mindset. And I be trying to regurgitate it to y'all in a way that makes sense, right? Sometimes it happens, sometimes it don't. I don't know. But let me know what you guys think about this, okay? Let me know if you have further questions, because this is a topic that I think so many people will have so many things to say about, and that's totally okay. You guys have to remember, I invite, I accept, and I appreciate any kind of dialogue. Whether you agree with me or not, every dialogue doesn't have to be agreed upon. You know, we can all have different perspectives. We can all have different experiences, and we can all have different thought processes, and we can still exist in the same space and love each other just the same. I'm just telling y'all that the way that I received love in my childhood shaped my perception and my mindset for love. And then I put rules. I'm not saying my family put rules. I put rules on love. I put the filter on. I started perceiving love as only certain things. Okay, so what happened for me? I didn't have the ability to feel or receive love from people who didn't do it the way that I perceived love. It automatically meant to me that they don't love me. And it wasn't true. Some of them people did love me. I just couldn't feel it or see it or experience it, because the only way I could feel it, see it, or experience it was through the lens and through the filter of the way that I was taught to receive love. And that's all I'm trying to say, Queens, is let's try to be more cognizant of what those filters are. And let's not put rules behind the filter to say that someone isn't loving you because they aren't meeting your filter. It doesn't mean that they don't love you. It just may mean that they love a different way. Okay. But you can avoid even having to deal with all of that if you learn how to love unconditionally. If you learn how to love unconditionally, none of that matters. It makes attracting love so much easier when you love unconditionally, when you choose to give 100% of your heart, regardless of what the person is and who they are and what they do and what their flaws are. It makes attracting true, genuine love so much easier. Now, again, Queens, I will say it will not prevent people who are not capable of loving you from coming into your existence. It doesn't prevent it. We have to stop thinking that we can prevent all pain, all hurts, all problems, all issues. We can't prevent them. We just have to learn from them. We have to learn the lesson that we're supposed to be taught in them. There is no black and white answer. There is no thing that you can say, if you do this, then you'll 100% get that. You might have to do this 50 times before you get that. And that's why putting rules and conditions on things like love does not work. It will always result in you attracting back to yourself someone who will love you with conditions as well. And some of y'all might say, well, I'm fine with that. I don't want nobody who just going to throw love on me. I want somebody who going to make me work for it. I don't want somebody who for the streets and all of that. I know, and I can hear it, and I know that that's how some women think, but I'm going to tell you right now, when a person loves you and they want you and they ain't playing about it and they ready to commit and they want to give you their whole heart, it ain't not one hoop that your ass going to have to jump through. And that's on Mary Had a Little Lamb. All right, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. This one was a little bit of a doozy. I hope I was able to articulate my thoughts, my experiences, my evolution with you, Queens. I love y'all so much. Thank you for listening. Thank you for always rocking with your girl. Please make sure you connect with me on Instagram at All Queens Army. If you want more motivation, make sure you go to the All Queens Army YouTube channel and subscribe. New videos drop every Tuesday. And also head on over to the All Queens Army website and check out the blog. Those drop every Thursday. Okay, so I love you so so much, queens. I love you. I love you. I love you. And guess what, y'all? Guess what? Let me tell y'all something. My love for y'all is unconditional. Period. I don't have no conditions. I don't care what you do, what you say, who you are. Even if y'all talk bad about me, even if y'all say negative shit, it doesn't even matter because it's about what I'm giving to y'all. What I'm giving is genuine 100% love. And once you give genuinely 100% and wholly from your heart, once you love from that space, the way I love y'all, it frees you from the judgment of other people. It frees you from worrying about what other people think. It frees you. You know why? Because I don't have a rule that I have to stop loving you because you don't agree with me. I don't have a rule that I have to stop loving you because you didn't like this episode. I don't have a rule that I have to stop loving you because you probably cussing me out. I don't have a rule that I have to stop loving you because you don't rock with Coach Breezy. I don't have those rules. It's freeing. That's all I'm trying to say to y'all. Unconditional love frees you from having to make those tough decisions. Should I cut him off? Should I say this? Should I check this bitch? Should I cuss this person out? I don't have those rules, y'all. It don't matter because I love y'all genuinely, 100%, wholly, with my whole heart. And I wish y'all the best. And I wish y'all the best in everything, no matter what you're going through, who you are, how you act. It don't matter. I love y'all. Everybody, queens, kings, dogs, cats, birds, pigeons, snakes, and frogs, baby. Okay, y'all, for real. I'm really done this time. For real. I love y'all so much. I will talk to y'all next week. I love you. I love you. I love you. Bye.